Hello, and welcome to Growing Older with Gusto, a podcast dedicated to providing a platform for people who are growing older in a positive and productive way to dispense their wisdom. I am Gail Zuckerman, the host, and you can find out more about our podcast by going to our website at www.growingolderwithgusto.com. Today, our guest is a woman by the name of Susan Hayes, who has shown by example how to reinvent herself as she is growing older. She is coming to us from southwestern France, and talking to Susan about her life makes it clear she's like a controlled tornado. She grew up on a farm in southern England, loving outdoor adventures and a passion for horseback riding. She moved to London to work as an adult, where she met her husband, Roddy, and they moved around a bit, floating among 3 different continents. Craving warm weather brought them back to France with their 5 kids, where they tested the waters in Provence and Pyrenees Atlantique. The past 12 years, they have settled into an area in southwestern France. I think I'm pronouncing this right, Charente-Maritime, where Susan is happily engaged in a property search and relocation business, a guest cottage endeavor, and an online boutique business. Phew, I think I need a nap already. So welcome to the show, Susan. Great to have you.
Oh, it's an absolute honor to be here. Thank you for having me.
In talking to you, your childhood experiences seem magical in themselves. And I know that horses and physical activity seem to be the predominant theme. I was wondering, looking back on your formative years, how did they create sort of a platform for you to continue growing older with gusto?
I think I'm a great believer in just getting on and doing something. I think being a farmer's daughter, even though we had help on the farm, but you kind of learn just to get on and do things. And so if I want something done, just go for it. Always believe in yourself, do your best. And also just to be outside as much as possible. I'm a great believer in outside doing physical activity as much as possible. And somebody once gave me some advice, actually quite recently, and this is when you get up in the morning, no matter what the weather, stand outside and just feel fresh air for 5 minutes. And I now do that, whether it's rain or shine, and somehow it just kind of sets you up for the day.
That's a great idea. I'll try that. Now that I'm living in a warmer climate, it will help.
Yeah, that's true. Sometimes when it's cold, it's quite tough. And I haven't gone the cold bath, that route.
I was just going to say, I don't think I'm going to be a candidate for a cold plunge, but nonetheless.
Me neither. I just can't. No.
So then you moved from southern England to London, where you received a pilot's license. How did that come about?
Because I started working in London and I was actually terrified of flying. And I would go on holiday, and whenever I was on holiday, I would worry the whole time that I had to come back and get on that aeroplane again. And I was sharing an apartment with a lady who was older than me, but she also was a private pilot instructor. And she said, "Oh, just come and do a trial flight in a little plane and, see if you enjoy it." And funny enough, I really did enjoy it. And I joined the flying club and went on to take my private pilot's license. Wow. Which sadly is no longer current, but it was a magical time.
Wow. I remember when I was quite younger, I used to always love the takeoffs and the landings. That was always kind of thrilling. But having a fear of height, I don't think I could ever do what you did.
So no, it was fine. They were little planes. So now I love it. Cured my fear of flying for little planes. Little planes I absolutely love. Big planes, I still hate them. I count down the seconds, literally. Hate it. But little planes, we went with the flying club, we went all the way down through France. We circled Mont Blanc. In the acrobat plane, I did acrobatics. We did just so much over 3 years. It was magical.
Oh, wow. So tell us how you met your husband, Roddy, how it changed your life.
We met because I went on holiday with some work friends from London. We were with Lloyd's Insurance. And we met actually when he was fishing on the island of Madeira, and he had his own sports fishing business. And I met because we hired one of his boats and went fishing. So, yeah.
Kismet. So speaking of fishing, you mentioned to me that you won the world record for big game fishing. Like, where were you living? How'd you get involved? Was that through Roddy or?
That again was through Roddy. So this was after we had just daughter one, number one at the time. And he was contracted to go and work for somebody off the island, on the island of Midway, which is a long way south of Hawaii, north of Hawaii, south of Hawaii. And so I went out there, but only for a short time. He was out there for several months. I went out there for a couple of weeks. And whilst I was there, we decided to go for a couple of world records and succeeded.
Wow.
And
Wow.
it's still standing to this day, so I was quite proud of that. So, yeah, I did a lot of fishing with him. Amazing.
So did that require you to really not talk a lot while you were trying to catch the fish?
Yeah, no, yeah, it's serious. It's
Yeah,
serious, but we work as a good team. He's always been a boat captain, and when we don't have paying clients, then I will be his angler for the day. So, yeah, we've always, basically, ever since we met, so for 30 years or so now, we've been a team and always worked together. Always. And it's just worked for us.
okay, now I know your family expanded rapidly and you ended up having 5 children. I'm curious, how did you manage to juggle parenting and all your other activities?
I don't know. I love kids. I absolutely love children, and they come before everything, always. The kids are okay, the youngest is now 18, so technically they're all adults, but they will always still come before anything. For me, the children are my life. Um, and they just sort of join in. They were really easy children. I guess if they had been really difficult children, maybe we would only have had one. In fact, the only one that was a bad sleeper and really difficult was the very last one. So maybe that's why we only had 5. But aside from her, all the others slept absolutely beautifully. She was just a bad sleeper till she was about 10.
That's funny. Maybe she had a lot of excess energy knowing who her parents were.
Yeah, she was always the one in charge, in charge of all of her siblings, and always has been.
So now I know that you and Roddy found France to be your favorite place. You ended up moving back there after living on several different continents before you landed in this area which you're calling your favorite spot. And could you pronounce that again for me? It's
Charente-Maritime.
Charente-Maritime. Very nice. So tell us a little bit how you got back there and why you're there and why it's such a special spot of yours.
Because my great-grandmother was French, so I always had a love of France and Normandy, and I still actually do love Normandy. Roddy's from the Channel Islands, which are little islands, actually part of the United Kingdom, but they are off the coast of Normandy, so they're much closer to France than England. So he always used to come across to France a lot. So for both of us, we had this love of France, Normandy in particular, but the weather is not... I hate cold winters and I hate long grey winters, much though I love Normandy. So we decided to settle further south. We were in Provence. Did not go too well for us. We were burgled, and it's a long story. But eventually we had to go abroad for work, and we came back, and we went abroad, and we came back. And when we came back the third time, having made 2 costly and kind of rookie errors, when you buy something in the summer and you think everything's wonderful and you don't check things out, and there was nobody to speak to or to give us advice except for locals that we might meet. So when we came back the last time, nearly 12 years ago, we had a checklist, and we really stuck to it. And we knew our eldest daughter was at university in the UK. We wanted to have good transport links to her. We wanted to be relatively close to the coast. We wanted a good-sized city town within 20 minutes, a good community spirit. We knew exactly what we wanted, and we knew this area. And we came here, we looked around, and just completely fell in love with it. We have a great microclimate, so we have guaranteed long summers. We have the second sunniest, driest area in France after the Mediterranean. So we do get those wonderful warm summers, but we also get very, very short, mild winters. I never think winter doesn't really start till December. Now we're January, the mimosas out, daffodils will be out next month. February, we get days in the 20s, which is low 70s Fahrenheit, and spring is here. So, it's kind of like just great.
And I should mention to our listeners that you have a wonderful newsletter that you send out almost weekly, I think, with some absolutely exquisite photography that really illustrates exactly what you're talking about this part of France. And I'm a Francophile, so I like France too. And it's intriguing. It's an interesting pocket of France that I'm certain that a lot of people aren't aware of. So
No, it's we call it a really well kept secret. It's absolutely loved by Parisians. Many have second homes here, and that's a really good thing because actually it's kept it quite cosmopolitan. There's things open. A lot of places in France tend to that are. Especially places that are touristy tend to die a little bit in the winter and become a bit like ghost towns. This because it is so cosmopolitan. It's open all year round. You can always get a good cup of coffee. You can get a good restaurant. And so it just keeps it quite buzzing. It's got that, it doesn't feel, it's rural, it's quiet, but it's not backward. It's just got a great feel to it.
it sounds like it has everything you could ask for, all rolled up into one, which is unusual and really special.
But it's not super touristy because it's just, as I say, it's not known by outsiders in the way that a lot of other areas of France, a lot of people, when they think of France, think of Paris, Provence, and maybe Normandy. And that kind of is France, but there is so much more.
Right. So, well, now that, as you said, your youngest is 18 and your kids have sort of left the nest, let's talk a little bit about what you've been up to. I know you have, from your newsletter, you have this enchanting looking cottage. Can you tell us more about it?
Yeah, when we came back here nearly 12 years ago, we didn't actually live where we're living now. We were 20 minutes down the road, 20 minutes close to the coast. And we always wanted to have a guest cottage. We really liked the hospitality business. We'd done a lot in the hospitality business together. And so that was a dream, to be able to bring people to France and to not just a cottage that we rented out for money, and that's really stayed the same now that we've moved here. We also have a guest cottage. It's purely for two people. It's very small, it's very exclusive, and we want to be able to bring people here and welcome them so that they feel that they can come and escape, and we can chat with them, offer them a glass of wine. Very often we have a meal with them and we invite them over to our courtyard for dinner, and just to we want it to feel like a wonderful experience for them, not they've just rented somewhere like an Airbnb and that's it, they come and they go and write a review or whatever. We want this to be something really special, which is another reason we don't do a booking calendar or anything, because it's sort of emails before people come so that you get to know people, and I want people to really experience France when they're here.
So, tell us a little bit about what a typical day might be for somebody coming to stay in your cottage.
Here we're really lucky because it's a little village of about 650 people, probably near 1,000 in summer, but not very big. It's on the river, and it's one of the only two designated swimming areas on this river, on the River Charente. And it has been a designated swimming area for 85 years. No, correct that, 80. And and we also have 3 restaurants in the village and a riverside cafe, which is open from April till October because that's only outdoors. We have a boulangerie, we have a couple of little shops, a little grocery store. So people can really come. There is no parking on site. There's only public car parking in the car park because the access to the cottage is down through the garden. So they have their own access. They're totally private from us. They don't have to see us at all if they don't want to. But they do have the pool, which we use as well. But if guests are there swimming, we won't go and intrude on them anyway. They walk through our garden. They can have breakfast sitting on the south-facing terrace. They can go for swims. They can walk down to the river. They can walk to 2 different chateaux. Fascinating stone carving because our local Charentez stone is very, very famous. You can go swimming in the river, you can rent boats, you can rent a kayak, and then if you want to go in your car, you can go off and explore the Roman city of Sant, which is fantastic, modern, but really old at the same time. There is just so much to do. But also you can throw away your car keys and just say, I'm just going to walk. And there is also high-speed Wi-Fi because sadly, that's the world we live in. We all like to be connected at the same time.
That sounds great. So let's talk a little bit about your property relocation service. Like, describe the type of person and properties you're matching up and how you
that's like saying how long is a piece of string, because
sorry.
We have clients who are in their 30s who want a second home that is 110,000, or we have, or we have clients who are in their 70s, and we have people looking for properties that are 800,000. We have people looking for a tiny place that is 100,000. It literally, it's what people want. People want a town. Other people want something in the country and don't want any neighbours. It's literally what people want. Some people want to move here permanently. Some people want an apartment. Some people want something they can come to once a year. It's really, all sorts of things.
Yeah, it sounds like a potpourri of a lot of different people. And
Absolutely. And our goal is because I think when you're going to buy a property, you spend the biggest investment you make in your life, pretty much, and I think often I know I spend longer, thinking, am I going to buy a dress or a skirt or something than I do, a house. I'll go and look at something and I'll go away and I'll think, well, if I like it in a couple of days' time. But a house, very often you look at for an hour and a half, and then you spend hundreds of thousands, and you think, why would I not spend just a few thousand, and really a very, very tiny percentage more, and get a lot of expert advice and second opinions and everything else at the same time? And as I say, we made two very costly mistakes. And then we helped somebody find a property here, and they said, you know what, you should really do this to help other people. And this was 7 years ago now. And we did. And it's just wonderful to help people find out exactly what they want, and then find places that probably aren't on the open market. A lot of agents we work with let us know about properties long before they even hit the open market. So we get, first dibs at things. And we help people say, well, look, this is a really great place, but this maybe is not for you because it's going to need so much work, and we can get costs and things for everybody too.
so I guess that involves you having to have a big resource list of people. If people are willing to renovate or whatever, as opposed to turnkey, you would be a resource.
Absolutely. We have a list of artisans and electrician, plumber, roofing people that we really trust. We can, some people, we have some clients at the moment who their property is going through, but they absolutely wanted no renovation whatsoever. And they've bought a house that needs full renovation because they just fell in love with the location of the house, the village it's in, everything about it, the history, the views. And they just said, okay, we'll do the renovation, but can you get us some quotes first and an idea? It's even got asbestos in the property that needs removing. So we got all of those quotes first. The agent we worked with was really good. She said, I will take it off the market and hold it, but you're not committed to anything until we've got these quotes back. And, so they're abroad, they're on a different continent. They could not possibly have done this on their own. And if they did, it would have cost them a fortune, way more than we charge, just to come back and forth, and stay places and try and find artisans to give them quotes when you don't know anybody. I mean, some things like this are just so hard to do. We know, we've been there, and it is so hard. I wish we'd had somebody that could advise us back then. We'd have saved so much money.
It's so nice that you've taken your expertise and been able to help other people. I think that's wonderful. And I'm curious, like, are the people that are coming to you to relocate, are they mainly from France? Or are they from other countries or far away? Or
everywhere? We have, just to name a few, Singapore, Australia, wow, New Zealand, America, of course, the UK, French, Germans, Italian, everywhere.
Wow.
Yeah. Even a couple who live in Paris, because it's just too much for them to keep coming back and down. The problem with French estate agents or real estate agents is their details are quite often quite far removed from what you actually get in reality. They show you what they want to show you. When you sell a house, for example, in the States, they tend to be staged, and you can see almost a blank canvas. Here you will see a photo with somebody's washing up all over the sink and laundry all over everywhere. You've got to be able to think outside the box to even imagine what half of these places look like.
Interesting.
Very rarely any floor plans. Some of the better agents do, but a lot of the really good properties are not with necessarily the better agents. They're with more of the local French agents, and then the details are really useless. And you come and look at something, and then you find out that there's a great big electricity pylon next door. There's an old rusty old factory next door, or a pig farm next door, or something. But nobody's going to tell you that. And if you've come from another country and then you look at all these properties, and I've seen so many people go away and feel so dejected because it's just like, how can we do this? And so we do the shortlist, and we go and view properties for people and take videos. We do virtual tours. We do live virtual tours with them. So we just get them up on WhatsApp and say, okay, we're going to walk around so you can ask questions. And so people come here, and they normally have a short list that we've drawn up of maybe 5-6 properties with them. And then they know what they're looking at, and we can show them where the nearest cafes are, where they're going to be able to do this, where there would be a doctor, where, how far it is to the hospital, and just all those things that we all need to know in life. And often if it's in another language as well, it's pretty hard.
It is. My husband and I were in Tokyo a few months back, and we were trying to catch the bullet train in the Tokyo train station, and nobody spoke English, and so
Yep.
it was very scary.
It is, you know, if you don't know and you can't, it's something I don't think you realize till you go to another country and suddenly you're sort of like, how can I express myself? It's quite
Yeah,
scary.
it is. It is. So let's chat a little bit now about your online business. What is it called, and what kinds of items are you having on your online business?
It's purely vintage French, vintage and antique French items that I find mostly. It started off when we first came here, so I would go around Brocantes and buy things. I don't really do that anymore because Brocantes have actually changed a lot, and you get far less bargains, and there's an awful lot of clothing and
Mhm.
plastic sort of things that have come in now, because I've got and I get invited to private sales when people are selling manoirs and chateau, and I tend to go around and then just pick very few. I don't have a great big inventory, maybe 30 pieces, sometimes only 20, not a huge amount at all. And I just pick things that I would want, things that I think I
Mhm.
would like that in my home. And it's a very small thing. It's not a mainline part of the business at all. It's something that I find very interesting.
It
I
is. I've seen it.
love,
It's great. And
yeah,
yeah,
I
you
love that, why go and buy a pot that is made in China to look old when you could buy the real thing for maybe less
right.
money or certainly no more? And I think it's lovely looking at things and thinking that was used, like a comfy pot was used for preserving duck 150 years ago, and they would put it in the ground.
Wow.
And now, everybody loves them. They're the pots that are part yellow or part green around the top, and about, a foot high. And they were actually used in kitchens, say before refrigeration. They would fill them with fat, duck fat, then put the meat in, and then put them in the ground up to the mark where it is painted. That's why it is only half glazed. The inside is completely glazed, and that's how they would preserve their meat all winter.
It's interesting. I never knew. That's really interesting. Wow. Well, I also know that you've talked to me a little bit about some very special offerings that you have coming up, and I know our listeners will find them most appealing. So I'd like to talk first about your first offering, which is a 4-night luxury experience. It's geared basically for a couple or maybe two friends. And how would you describe this experience?
Yeah, this came about quite by chance, because last year or the year before, we had quite a few people staying in the gîte, and who asked to if I would accompany them places. Would
Mhm.
I take them to the Ile de Ré? Would I go and do things with them? And so we thought, rather, a lot of people, sometimes solo travelers, sometimes groups, sometimes a couple of friends, they want to see more, but they're a little bit nervous about how to see more, because this isn't your mainline tourist area where everybody knows you should go here, here, here. Um, and so we thought, there were so many people offering huge retreats for a lot of people. Why not offer something really just for a couple at far more basic prices in our own gîte? People can come and tailor make for what they wish, rather. And it became so popular that we did, first of all, started with just one date, that we said, okay, well, we could do this not a huge amount because I don't want to do back-to-back ones, and my husband doesn't either. We're both very adamant about that because it's got to stay a passion for us. It's more
Right.
about people loving it than making money, which is probably why we'll never be rich, because even our property business is all about helping people more than a business making money, which so
But
that's why.
your life sounds very rich to me. So
Exactly. It's rich in the fact that we love helping people. Um, but this, so people can tailor make what they want. Not everybody wants workshops. Some people would rather just do antique hunting. Some people would like to tour chateaus. Some people would like to just tour domains and see how wine and cognac is made. Other people want to do just workshops. So we said, you know what, if it's just two people, why not tailor make this to what they want precisely? And let's say rather than just the set 4 days, which sold out instantly, why, and therefore I had a lot of people saying, what can we do? Why not say we can do this anytime from the 1st of May till the 30th of September, a 4-night thing. You let us know. We have very, very, very limited dates because A, the gîte is booked, the guest cottage is booked for people on general vacation anyway. And B, we only want to do it once a month. I don't want to do this all the time because, as I say, it won't be special. But why not let people choose their dates and we will see if we can work with them. And then let people choose. I want to do a mixture of this, and it's totally then everything is all inclusive. So their breakfast, their lunch, their dinner. Some people want to meet other local expats, which we found, have a cocktail party and let them in, meet other people that have made this their home. So it's a tailor-made holiday.
That's great. And there's another offering you mentioned that's geared to a much larger group and is super special because the guests are going to stay for 6 nights at a special chateau. Can you tell us more about that?
That is something that I am doing with a really, really dear friend of mine, Wendy, who is based at the Phineas Wright House in Massachusetts. And we do this together. It's a joint venture. She's been doing retreats for several years now, notably to Paris. Hugely successful. She's a lovely, lovely lady and a dear friend. And so she knows somebody here, which is how we were first introduced, that we do this together. And this is thing, I found a chateau quite locally, went and met the people, toured it, and it was absolutely perfect. And so we rent the chateau. And this is very different, as you say, because it's a larger group. So there's a minivan to take everybody around. We have a Parisian chef who cooks at the chateau. It's a very different experience. And there's a set itinerary, obviously, because with a larger number of people, you have to do that. But then again, it's fabulous for solo travelers. You still get your own ensuite bedroom in the chateau life, swimming pool,
So where
and
exactly
meet
is
other
this chateau
people.
located, Susan? Where is it
It
located?
is. It's located in the Charente-Maritime, near the village of Saint-Savinien. So it's about 10 minutes from where we live,
Oh, wow.
and about 15 minutes from the historical city of Saintes, and beautifully located. It's in many, many acres of its own parkland. It is absolutely beautiful, built in the late 1700s and been in the same family ever since it was built.
Wow. Sounds beautiful. Sounds
It
really
is, but and so totally different experience. But for people that want to come and meet other people, some people like doing things on their own. Other people like larger groups and going around in a more, knowing exactly what they're doing months in advance. So
Now, what's the timing on this one? On the group?
that one this year is the last week of August. Last year we did it in September. This year we've moved it forward to the last week of August.
Great. So,
And that we do have a couple of spaces still available. So, and it is absolutely superb. We're all, I'm fully on board. I join every single activity, there at night, eating the whole thing in the chateau. We have, let's say, a Parisian chef who does all the catering in the chateau. There are dinners out. There are incredible workshops. I think one of the favorite last year was the jewelry making. We went to a private jeweler who makes sterling silver jewelry, and that
do
was
you offer,
fascinating. Again, in a chateau, and lunch is served in the chateau.
do you offer cooking classes?
We do. Our Parisian trained chef, rather than a set cooking class, he will cook dinner and then explain and teach people exactly what they want to learn while he is cooking dinner. Last year, the last night, we had everybody eating in the kitchen rather than in the more
Oh, wow.
formal dining room, and everybody sat around, and first we started with the basic knife skills, which even that is quite mind-blowing, and then showed how to make what he was serving for dinner that night, which was actually fish. And just everybody is welcome to come and ask any night when he's cooking. People are welcome to go into the kitchen and join him and ask questions and watch. So you can have a cooking class the whole time if you want to.
Wow, that's incredible. That sounds like so much fun. Susan, this has been such an interesting and fascinating conversation, and you definitely are a fabulous example of somebody growing older with gusto. I want you to tell our listeners how they can reach you, whether it's for wanting to buy property near you or come to one of your special events that you're holding or trying to buy something from your wonderful online business. Let us, our listeners, know.
So there were two. The best way is either on Instagram, if anybody's on Instagram. My Instagram handle is @OurFrenchOasis. And always send me a direct message on Instagram, and I do answer every single one. There are quite a lot, so sometimes I don't get back within the hour or even 5 hours, but I do always answer every single one. And the other way is through our website, which is www.ourfrenchlifestyle.com. If you join the website, you can also sign up totally for free. I've never charged for anything to our newsletter, which has several thousand subscribers, and emails go out. It's most weeks.
And it is great. It is a great newsletter, I will add. It really is.
To several
Well, I can
thousand
tell you
people.
put your heart and soul into it. It's just
I do. And sometimes I think that's why sometimes it doesn't go out every week, because sometimes I don't have time, but it's nearly always every week.
it is. It's amazing.
I can't, it's sometimes Saturday, sometimes Sunday. Occasionally it's a Monday instead. This weekend we were taking our daughter back to university in Normandy, so it went out on Monday. Because I wanted to write about where we'd been and everything. So because I don't charge, it's a totally free thing, and it's something I love doing. I'm not setting it to a clockwork time.
Susan, it doesn't matter when it arrives, whether it's Saturday, Sunday, or Monday. I always love getting it. And I know other people will too.
And then on our website, there is also a contact form, so you can email me. I love getting emails from people. On our website, you will also find, under the heading Experiences, everything about our stays here, how you can join the retreats. There are also details on our guest cottage and the online shop. And I also and our property business, just love chatting to people, and I'm people who love France, because that's what we have all in common. We love France. So I'm really happy to talk about that.
Well, from one Francophile to another, I thank you so much for this conversation. And for my listeners, please share this podcast and listen to it at any podcast platform where you get your podcast, or our YouTube channel at Growing Older with Gusto, or go to our website at growingolderwithgusto.com and subscribe. And please share this podcast with your friends and family. Thanks for listening. And remember, stay curious and stay connected. Thank you, Susan.